What's up, everybody? My name is Luna with PresStartCulture, and this is the story of Kratos. Kratos is one of my favorite video game protagonists. This God of War series not only brought Greek mythology to life, but gave us as gamers a first-hand glance at what it's like to be this Spartan. We get to witness him at his greatest, at his worst, and at his best. These games are your classic revenge and redemption, but it also brought us a whole generation of games that are loved by many. We meet a fierce Spartan who joins the Spartan army at a young age and quickly rises through the ranks, becoming the youngest captain obsessed with victory. The arrogant Spartan meets his match when he comes across the barbarian army. Kratos' army was dying quickly, as the barbarians were a massive army. Right as Kratos was about to meet his end, he pleaded for his life to the god of war Ares.
Ares! Destroy my enemies, and my life is yours.
Ares sees the opportunity to mold Kratos into his apprentice. He answers with wiping out the entire barbarian army, forging great weapons of power called the Chains of Olympus that are seared into Kratos' arms as a reminder of whom he serves. This desperate call to Ares would eventually be the life decision he would regret. Ares would provide Kratos all he needed to keep his victory streak going and his thirst for blood quenched. However, despite the warning of an old oracle, Kratos found himself at a temple where he slaughtered everyone inside. Blinded for his thirst for victory, little did he know his own wife and child were seeking refuge inside the very temple where he had just murdered everyone. The oracle curses Kratos with the ashes of his wife and daughter, turning his skin white for all those to see his terrible deed he committed, as Kratos vows to kill Ares, thus becoming the ghost of Sparta. Kratos is now haunted by his past, and to all he has murdered. He sets out on a journey to restore the memories of his past life. He now suffers from nightmares, but these nightmares are actually memories of those who he has killed. He would go on to serve the gods, growing more angry and restless from the nightmares. Kratos begs the gods to relieve him from his burdens. Athena answers Kratos and says she would absolve him of his sins and help him with his nightmares, but only if he helps her kill her brother, Ares, who is threatening to destroy Athens. Kratos sees this as a win-win situation, but really at what cost? He learns that the only way to kill a god is by opening Pandora's box and harnessing its power. As Kratos reaches the box, Ares throws a spear clear across from Greece, pinning Kratos to a wall, eventually killing him. As Kratos descends into the underworld, he refuses death and fights his way out. However, Kratos did in fact open Pandora's box and unleash the powers of the gods in chaos. He makes his way to Ares and achieves what no mortal has done before, killing a god. Achieving this impossible fate, Kratos goes to Athena, who tells him his sins are forgiven, but he would never forget what he had done.
The death of our brother, the gods are indebted to you. We promised your sins would be forgiven, and so they are. But we never promised to take away your nightmares. No man, no god could ever forget the terrible deeds you have done.
Not being satisfied with that answer, Kratos proceeds to leap off the tallest mountain in Greece, trying to end his memory. Aw, poor Kratos. But Athena intervenes again to tell him that he is the new god of war. With the throne empty, the seat must be filled, and guess who is next in line? Kratos. Kratos is not happy with this new responsibility, and begins destroying random cities and starts wars, which begin to raise some concern among the other gods.
With every city you destroy, the wrath of Olympus grows. Soon I will no longer be able to protect you.
I need no protection.
Do not forget that it was I who made you a god, Ghost of Sparta. Do not turn your back on me.
I owe you nothing.
Then you leave me no choice.
Athena decides Kratos is out of hand and resurrects the Colossus of Rhodes. But then, while he's fighting the Colossus, Zeus intervenes and offers Kratos the Blades of Olympus. He tells Kratos to fuse his god powers with the blade, granting him the power he needs to kill the Colossus. Of course, Kratos buys into this, defeats the Colossus, but did not realize he was being tricked, and the blade actually drains Kratos of all of his powers, leaving him defenseless and weak, where Zeus quickly takes advantage and is there to kill Kratos and send him back to Hades. However, as we have learned, Kratos is difficult to kill and will not spend much time in the underworld. During his time in the underworld, Kratos meets a titan named Gaia, who saves him, and together they come up with a plan to kill Zeus. And he vows to kill any god that gets in his way. Okay, let me step back for a sec, and explain why Zeus is at this point in the story so just kill Kratos. Let me explain. Many years ago, Zeus learned of a prophecy that said he would be killed by a marked mortal. So Zeus sends Ares and Athena to find said mortal, and they come across a boy named Deimos that had distinctive birthmarks. Deimos happens to be Kratos' brother, younger brother. As Ares takes the boy, Kratos tries to fight back but is knocked away by Ares in the same way as someone would swat at a fly. Ares decides to let the young Kratos live only by the persuasion of his sister Athena. However, these actions and the failure of not being able to save his younger brother sparks the anger Kratos needs to join the Spartan army. Kratos honors his brother by tattooing the birthmarkings of Deimos on himself. Years later, Zeus assumes the prophecy falls to Kratos because Deimos is dead, or, hear me out, is it that his actions are what caused the whole thing in the first place? I mean, either way, we get some awesome games out of it, with awesome storytelling. Kratos goes to the land of creation, fighting his way to get to a much-needed item called the Loom of Fate. This is what he needs to return to the moment where Zeus killed him, hoping to change the outcome. Kratos is able to reclaim the blade and gets the upper hand against Zeus. As Kratos is about to lunge the sword into Zeus, Athena jumps in front of him, taking the blade herself, saving her father. In her dying breath, she whispers to Kratos that Zeus is Olympus, and killing him would cause Olympus to fall, and all of the gods with him. In one last attempt to sway Kratos, she tells him that he is also his father.
Why do you sacrifice yourself?
To save Olympus.
I do not seek to destroy Olympus, only Zeus.
Zeus is Olympus.
He brought this to himself.
Because of fear, Kratos. A fear felt by his father, Kronos. A fear that wrought the Great War. A fear that drove Zeus to kill you. His own son.
His son?
After using the Loom of Fate again, Gaia and Kratos create a Titan army and in fact recreating the infamous Titan versus Olympian battle. As Gaia and Kratos make their way to the top of Mount Olympus, Zeus is waiting for them. Zeus manages to hit them both with a bolt of lightning, knocking them down the mountain. However, Gaia manages to hang on, but her obsession with defeating Zeus does not include helping a dying Kratos. And this is when Kratos realizes he's being used again by another god. As he ascends back into the underworld, Kratos meets and manages to defeat Hades, where he also learns how to kill Zeus. Pandora's box. However, since Kratos' last attempt at the box, it's been moved and hidden behind the flames of Olympus, which can only be extinguished by Pandora herself. When Kratos finally gets to Pandora, explains the situation, she's more than willing to help. However, Kratos starts to see her as his own daughter, and therefore he changes his mind and tries to stop her. As Pandora is running towards the flames, Kratos has her by the arm, they're both struggling, and then suddenly Zeus pops in at the perfect time, because that's what Zeus does, and breaks up the struggle. Kratos attacks Zeus, breaking Pandora free, who heads directly towards the flame. Kratos is now stuck between his opportunity to get Zeus or to save Pandora, because obviously her death can't be the only way. Then Zeus just had to say something so dumb to somebody like Kratos. And he says,
Kratos, for once in your pathetic life, don't fail. Don't fail her like you failed your family.
Kratos eventually gets to the box, only to realize it's empty. And the world is in complete chaos. By this time, Gaia is back at the top of Mount Olympus. A three-way fight is underway: Gaia versus Zeus versus Kratos. But Zeus and Kratos fall onto Gaia while still fighting, and this fight goes on for what feels like an eternity, but Kratos gets the upper hand and kills two gods with one stone. Sword, you know. Kratos finally defeats both gods and titans, at least he thought, but now what? Zeus has one more trick up his sleeve. He releases his soul using the memories of Kratos' wife and daughter against Kratos. He has to overcome his fears and regret. Of course, Kratos seizes that moment to literally beat the crap out of Zeus in one of the most iconic scenes. Athena appears in a new form, informing Kratos that when he originally opened Pandora's box, he released all the fears and evil onto the world. She asked Kratos to return hope to her so she can give it back to humanity. But Kratos, at this point, is done. Done with helping the gods, done with trusting the gods, just done. So, he impales himself, directly giving hope back to humanity, and not letting Athena have control, which, of course, only angers her, and she scalds him as she leaves him bleeding, and at the end, we see Kratos kind of go off camera, and then there's like a trail of blood, and we're just kind of left with this pan out of the world in chaos. So, many years later, we meet up with a much older, grayer Kratos, who has survived and now lives in ancient Scandinavia in the Norse realm of Midgard. We soon learn that Kratos has a son, Atreus, and a recently deceased wife, Faye. And now, Kratos wields a magical axe called the Leviathan, which actually belonged to Faye. We'll learn that later. So we spend the first few hours of this game learning the relationship between Kratos and his son. Kratos seems to have mastered the rage that fueled him for so many years and is trying to connect with Atreus and teach him how to survive in this world full of monsters and warriors. We also learn that Kratos promised his wife, as a part of her last wish, to spread her ashes on the highest peak of all the 9 realms. Now he is set to do this by himself. We meet our first enemy, the mysterious stranger.
Fine. My turn.
After that huge attack and that first fight, Kratos decides to let his son come with him on this adventure to spread his wife's ashes. So he agrees to bring Atreus. The two set out to Midgard Peak, where they learn the highest peak is actually located in Jotunheim. During their journey, the two face many enemies and obstacles. One obstacle is Atreus falls ill. Kratos, in a panic, seeks the help of a witch, who actually plays a huge part in this journey. We also learn that Kratos hasn't been 100% with his family. They have no idea that he's a god, and the witch kind of taunts Kratos about this. The witch also informs Kratos that he needs to tell Atreus that he is part god, and that should help with his illness. But first and foremost, one of the spells that she needs to help Atreus is one of the ingredients is a heart from an enemy that is in another world. However, the Leviathan is useless there. The only way to fight these enemies is with some sort of fire weapon, and we quickly learned where the Blades of Chaos have been hidden this whole time.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
After he's healed, Kratos does start to talk more about what it's like to be a god with Atreus. However, Atreus becomes very arrogant and reckless and stops listening to what Kratos tells him as they proceed with their journey. So, not only are they trying to make it to the highest mountain in Midgard, they're also kind of working out some family issues. So, it's a fun journey, you know, family vacation with a twist. And it's definitely not going to be a nice walk to Jotunheim, so there's that. They run into many enemies and learning the connections to some of their enemies that are related to other acquaintances that they've helped along the way. Okay, so access to Jotunheim has been blocked by Odin and Thor. Myrmidon, who is saved by Atreus and Kratos towards the beginning, knows of a way around this block, but definitely is not going to be easy. Oh, let me step back. Myrmidon is a tree who instructs Kratos to decapitate him and take the head to the witch to revive his head, and then the head becomes part of this trio to Jotunheim. It's actually quite fun. He's just attached to Kratos' belt.
Concerned, death suits you better.
I'd bow if I could, Your Majesty. Forgive me. Had I known the witch in the woods was Freya herself, I never would have suggested this.
Freya? The goddess Freya?
You didn't know either? Sorry.
When word gets out that Mimir is free, the wrath of Odin won't be far behind.
You are God.
Leader of the Vanir, once yes, but no longer.
You did not think it important to tell me.
Are you really going to lecture me about that?
We are leading, boy.
Anyway. Okay, so as Kratos and Atreus work out their issues, they learn that the mysterious stranger from the beginning, Baldur, is the son of the helpful witch. Even she is not who she says she is. Okay, so the backstory behind Baldur. She casts a spell on her son to protect him, but even though he's immortal, he's technically miserable because he can no longer feel pain or pleasure. Baldur becomes a pain and a distraction, which forces Kratos to step in and be involved in another family affair, which leaves one dead and another mad at him. However, these quests are beginning to bond Atreus and Kratos. After many trials, the two uncover many secrets about Faye, which is Kratos' wife, that he's carrying her ashes. Baldur was actually after her, and come to find out, she was a giant. So Atreus is part god and part giant, which has to be like the coolest thing ever. Okay, so once they get through all of this, they eventually fulfill Faye's last wish. There's a cool little secret ending. We get a glimpse of a premonition that Atreus has of the future.
The ball!
Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the story. Have you ever played any of the God of War games? Especially the new one. I kind of want to see if they're going to keep this God of War series going. It could be great, because I absolutely liked the God of War series. It's good. The story, I like Greek mythology, and now they're mixing in Norse mythology, so I'm kind of excited about it. Let me know in the comments, guys. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye.